Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is Jacob Litton. Got our preview episode of the Lions-Steelers matchup. If you've seen the title of this is what it's about. The playoffs really have started for the Lions. They have to start, there's no other option to win if we want to get in the playoffs. So it's really begun this week. Do you feel that way, Jacob, or is that just something I'm putting in the title?
No, we talked about this at the end of, the last one. It's definitely, that's how they have to treat these games. While there is still a chance with us losing that we could make the playoffs, it's one of those, we got to count on a lot of other people and a lot of other crazy things to happen. And that's not the situation we want to be in. As it is right now, we still need the Bears to lose, but, we've got to beat them. We've got to win these games before that. So absolutely just treat it as, win or it's over.
I know, and of course, Aaron Rodgers is coming to town to try and spoil that. I don't know if I can handle. I'll be at the game this weekend. I'm hoping that we get to Aaron Rodgers a bunch, especially Hutch, sack, put him on the ground. Afterwards, I can hear him complain about how his receivers were in the wrong area. That's my dream, at least.
It's a sneak preview of something I'm going to talk about later, but yes, absolutely.
Oh, good. All right, I'll refrain from my other comments based on what you said there, because maybe it's the same thing, and I'll let you go. Yeah, any big news happened the last 2 days for you, or same old, same old?
About 4:10 or so, when we were leaving for basketball, I had to use the bathroom real quick, and I passed the kidney stone.
Congratulations!
Right? Yes, guys.
Now,
finally.
What was it? The pain, or was it the clink of the toilet that let you knew you passed it?
Something about the flow, of the, All right. It's like, okay, yeah, that's not normal. And then, yes, it was down in there.
Nice.
I had one like 10 years ago. And when that one was going to pass, I could feel that it was like ready, like it was going to be coming out. This time I had no indication other than the pain every couple of days. And it was like, but finally that thing popped out. Now I just have some kind of like weird reverb, like dull pain thing. But, we're in the clear.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I, for one, am really happy because I feared that, with your luck, Christmas Day, you'd wake up and be in god-awful pain. And then,
crossed my mind several times, man. I was like, please don't.
I don't want to ruin your Christmas, but I especially did not want your kids' Christmas ruined because of like that. So that's good news, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Glad that's over. Hopefully I don't ever have to do that again, but
Yeah. Oh God. Just drink a lot of water. All right. I want to remind everybody to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you enjoy listening to us. We appreciate you doing so, and keep doing it. Hopefully give us some feedback. We're always looking for that. You can get a hold of us on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. And just remember, subscribe, hit like too. That'd be nice. Makes Jacob happy when you hit like.
I like the like.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I know. He doesn't get enough liking in his life, so, except the old ladies at the pharmacy. They love Jacob.
They do.
Sorry, you got that going for anybody knit a hat for you this year or anything?
No. We do have a patient that brings me eggs every couple days, so I'll take that.
All right, nice. Like what kind of egg? Not scrambled eggs they made at home, like real
farm fresh. Patient owns a bunch of chickens and has a bunch of eggs. Just doesn't know what to do with them, so
eggs are expensive, dude.
I like that guy from the farm. Exactly. I got 4 kids.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's awesome. When I was working, when we weren't working together as my previous spot, one of our customers knitted everybody in the pharmacy a hat. I still have it.
That's really nice.
Not something I wear often, but
that's time consuming.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot of effort, man. I was always wary of people giving us food.
Yeah, we've had a couple like fudge and different things like that, which is also nice, but yeah, it just seems weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it's weird, but it's just I don't know what their home looks like or
exactly. That's why it's not weird that they did that for us. It's just kind of weird. Like I don't know. I mean,
I don't feel comfortable. That's
maybe
why
that
with the
fudge
eggs
wasn't made with love. Maybe that wasn't made with love. That was we made them angry.
Yeah, exactly. We took too long for one of their prescriptions, and now they're
Right.
paying
There's
us back with
X-Lax
some
in the
X-Lax
fudge.
and some fudge. Yeah, don't like that. All right, Jacob, we've had some transactions this last couple days. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what has happened?
Yeah, I want to talk about this first one because this was notable for me. So the
Mhm.
biggest deal was that safety Eric Hallett, who just started the last game for us, he was on our practice squad though. The Titans poached him from our practice squad and signed him to their active roster.
Mhm.
So then my question for you, because typically the way this works is the Lions have a chance to sign him to the active roster to keep him or protect
Yeah.
rather than just letting him walk. But I mean, what are your thoughts for why? Do you think that's more about like Thomas Harper being ready right now and them just playing a numbers game, or what's your thought on letting Hallett just walk and go to Tennessee?
Yeah, we'll get to the injury report later on, but Thomas Harper was a full practice, so I assume that he's probably going to be back. If we put him on the active roster, then he's got to remain there for 3 weeks, which is basically the remainder of the season. And so I'm assuming that the Lions just didn't want to commit him to the active roster. Uh, I have not been impressed with Eric Hallett's play. I'm not saying that he couldn't develop into something later on, and maybe he will. He's still a young player, uh, but it's not a big loss to me. I know it was surprising, especially that the Titans took him off our practice squad. I was shocked about that. So, were you in the same boat? Do you think they should have did this, or do you have other thoughts?
It's not that it's a monumental loss, obviously, because this was somebody that we were just elevating from the practice squad for these games. He had a couple spot starts. He did pretty good in run coverage. I mean,
Mm.
my biggest thing though is like this just one with the Thomas Harper stuff. So like, okay, this led me to believe that Thomas Harper is definitely going to play if they could afford to let that happen. But also with Kirby, because now this is kind of a prime thing where had Kirby been on IR, had we did the IR thing, we wouldn't have had to make that kind of a move.
Yep.
And now here we are week in, week out. It just doesn't look like Kirby's going to go. And now, is this something that, we let him walk? Does that mean that we think that Kirby's getting closer, or does that just not have anything to do with it? That we're just rolling the dice on the upside of having Kirby back there and not putting him on injured reserve?
So my thought is probably the Thomas Harper stuff, and we've signed some guys, recently to the team. They've had a couple weeks to get acclimated. They've actually, they have some experience. So the Lions might have thought, you know what, the drop off isn't that much, especially if Harper's out there, Hallett's the backup. We could probably elevate one of these other guys, bring him into the game, and not lose as much. So that's my thought on it. I'm not overly heartbroken about it. I'm just kind of surprised that it happened to begin with. That another team took Hallett, decided he was, something that they wanted to put on the active roster for 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we signed some cornerback to the practice squad. You did a little research on him. You want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, so we signed cornerback Keenan Garber to the practice squad. He was a undrafted free agent, but he spent training camp with the Vikings. He did not make final cuts. He signed with the Colts practice squad for 3 weeks, and he was cut from the Colts on October 21st, and he's been on the street since. I don't
Mhm.
have I don't know how many visits he made. Like there was a chance maybe he made a visit with the Lions, back then, and we just finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Kept his number, on quick. What is it? Speed dial. That's what I was looking for.
90s kid doesn't
Man,
know
what is the
speed
90?
dial.
Well, I was like, man, what was the 90s thing? I was like, my head was in text. I was like, that's not it. We
Yeah.
pinned his text thread to the top, so just in case,
Okay.
if you know what that means. You don't use an iPhone, so I don't know.
Snapchatted him, right? Chatted him
Yeah.
up. That's something the young kids use, right?
You think that's what Brad Holmes? That's what he's doing. He's just got a Snapchat.
That's how he's communicating. Yeah.
That makes sense.
He doesn't want any evidence, right? It goes away, so you can
That's
just
perfect.
get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that never comes back to bite anyone.
Yeah, exactly. No one screenshots anything. No,
right.
No.
Anyway, this was just a depth piece. This was obviously we had a spot because Hallett was gone. We'll bring another defensive back in there, see what he's got.
Yep.
Could be somebody that lasts another. Could be somebody that lasts a week. Could be somebody that they like what they see and gets a futures deal and is there next year. We don't know.
Yep.
The other big news though is offensive tackle Giovanni Manu. The clock was started for him to come back. Now, it did sound like the idea for him to come back would not be to play in games, but more so to get practice reps, right?
Yep.
And I think
Yeah,
we are all okay with not having to rely on Manu.
Yeah. Yeah. And I assume you're referring to Dan Campbell's, press
Right.
conference today. He basically says he just needs reps. He needs reps. He needs reps. He needs reps, which means, uh, I guess that, he's got 21 days. I guess they didn't officially start it today because it was a walkthrough, so they didn't put him on the practice field. So they'll probably wait till tomorrow. That gives them another day in the window. But basically, this takes us through the whole regular season. We could decide to do something different if we make it to the playoffs. But
When, Jason?
my feeling is that unless there's an injury down the line, they probably let him practice the rest of the way, and then they just put him on IR for the playoffs because they're going to try to get him 3 weeks of practice. And that was all the goal is on that. So, that'll be a big thing that we talk about in the offseason. Certainly at the training camp, all eyes will be on him, because number one, we invested a third round pick on it. Number two, it'll be his third year. Number three, Taylor Decker, is obviously, I don't know what it's going to be next year, whether he, decides to retire or the shoulder's healed up. Maybe it won't be as bad, but with him being on the injury report each week, we definitely need tackle help. And obviously Manu would be who we want to succeed him. Whether he's good enough, we'll have to wait and see on that.
Right. We don't know yet.
Nope.
Not from what we've seen so far, but that's why he needs the
No.
practice.
Yeah, exactly. Give him more time with Hank Fraley. All right, Jacob. Steelers coming to town. Why don't you go through their offensive main threats?
Main threats on offense for the Steelers. So, their massive tight end, Darnell Washington, he's actually number 12 on Pro Football Focus out of 77 tight ends. They've got two decent running backs. Jalen Warren is ranked number 12, and Kenneth Gainwell is ranked number 25 from Pro Football Focus out of 62. And then obviously wide receiver DK Metcalf is somebody you got to worry about. He's number 31 for receivers out of 130. And then, just for S's and G's, I put old Aaron Rodgers on there as a threat. He's rated the number 30. He's the 32nd best quarterback out of 42 that qualified on Pro Football Focus. And I just wanted to say that out loud. I like that.
It was that's the real reason we put it up there, is just to show how far down he's gone. We'll get to some of his stats later on, but yeah, that's nice. I'm glad you decided to put that on there. All right, defensive main threats. Their defense, I expected PFF grades to be much lower because when we get to the team stats, their defense has not played very well this year, but they 4 top 100 players coming into this year, NFL top 100 players, and they have the number 1 rated defensive lineman, that's Cameron Hayward. TJ Watt obviously is on their big threat, but he did not practice today. Obviously didn't play last week because of the punctured lung. My bet is that he doesn't play this week. I think that's a long shot. I don't know. It's kind of still up in the air, but the fact that he didn't practice today is probably leaning that way, but we'll see. They used to have Darius Slay, who left, but he was struggling this year. But one of the cornerbacks that's not struggling is James Pierre, number 2 rated cornerback. I was surprised to see that. And then, 2 more edge players in the top 13 edge players. Nick Herberg is 7, Alex Highsmith, number 13. And then I put Jalen Ramsey in there. He's getting older. He's not having a Jalen Ramsey type season, rated 43. Came in the NFL top 100, number 66. And Patrick Queen was an NFL top 100 player, coming in rated 75, but he is rated 76 out of 88 linebackers this year. So he's not having a very good year. Probably will not crack the NFL top 100 next year, I'd imagine.
Yeah, for those two, I think the biggest thing is Jalen Ramsey's played 930 snaps, and then Patrick Queen has played 935. And I think when you're out there as often as they are, it's obviously you've got a bigger sample size. That's more reasons for them to rate you lower versus the cornerback that they have, James Pierre, that was number 2. I was surprised by that too, but he's played 347 snaps. So he's played less than half of the snaps on defense. obviously you still, to be ranked second, you still have to be making an impact. You still have to be playing well. But I just think that's one way those numbers are kind of skewed. But I mean, Patrick Queen has a horrible overall rating. He does not have a good pass coverage rating. The only positive thing he has is his pass rush. And I imagine that's not that hard when you're blitzing and teams have to guard Herbig, Highsmith, and TJ Watt and Cam Hayward. I mean, that's a killer defensive line. If they're going to send a linebacker in there, your chances are you're probably going to be hopefully not a free rusher this game, but
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Oh, I didn't update that. Players on. Hold on. I guess I must have forgot to put the injury report on there, Jacob. So, James Pierre, who we just talked about, did not practice. Herbert did not practice. TJ Watt, who we just mentioned, did not practice. They had two other limited practice, Ben Skoranek and Andrus Pete, one of their guards. So we don't know, James Pierre, if he doesn't play, that's obviously help. Herbert, if he doesn't play, is going to be help. TJ Watt, obviously, big help there. So that's, we'll see how it goes. Today was the first injury report, so we don't know how, it's going to progress through the week, but I'd be shocked if TJ Watt's out there.
Yeah, just doesn't look good for him. But the other guys, I think with the exception of Skoranek, I think everybody else on this list is a starter. So finally a team dealing with injuries, not quite to the level that we are, but at least a comparable injury report.
Yeah. That's right. Feel good about your injuries. Yeah, suck it. All right. They have some more than two players on IR, but just two players that I thought were notable. Deshaun Elliott, safety, obviously former Lion, and Miles Killebrew, still in the league. Safety, special teams player. I don't know how many. Miles Killebrew, was that before? That was a Patricia era draft pick.
Was that Patricia?
Or was that? No, I think that might have been.
I think that was before Patricia.
Yeah. Long time. He stayed in the league for a long time.
Do you remember? Hang on. Do you remember when we drafted him? Not what year and what round?
No, but I
was trying to look.
I think it's a later round.
I thought he was an earlier pick. He was a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head that he was like a 2nd or 3rd, like Tavai.
You're thinking of Javelani. What was his name?
Tavai, right? Yeah.
Yes, Tavai, and then who was the other? The cornerback that was picked in the 2nd round that Bob Quinn was like, he's the guy I studied most, and then he stayed in the league for 2 years.
Now I got to look that up too.
I can't
Killebrew was before Matt Patricia, but when Matt Patricia got there, he switched him to linebacker. And he played linebacker for another year with Patricia, and then let's see.
Tease Tabor.
Yes.
Hell, Tease Tabor. Oh man. Slowest cornerback in the draft, and we that's what he was slipping, and still picked him up.
Looked like he was not used to playing cornerback, I think was his problem. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, that was what we did back then. Fortunately, we got I know there's some people out there that want to argue or nitpick Brad Holmes draft picks, but we're not on the level of that. Although you could say Pascal didn't work out. 2nd round pick. I'd say Levi obviously hasn't worked out. He's a 2nd round pick due to injuries. So, there are some nitpicks there, but obviously the picks that have worked out have been dynamite. So, all right, Jacob.
We get an off-season study.
What?
I said that can be an off-season study. We'll see which ones are good, which ones are bad, and what the comparison.
I have some huge news. Our practice report fits on one page today. That is huge because it's normally been 2 pages. So we are making progress.
Nice. I guess. It still barely fits on 1 page.
I know. I might have shrunk the font just a tiny bit, but
that checks out.
That's right. Taylor Decker did not practice. Shoulder thing he's dealing with all year. Kirby Joseph still has not practiced. Those are the only 2 Lions that did not practice. Tristan Colon is limited practice. Manu, limited practice. Amik is dealing with a hand. Jeremy Reisman today said that he has a club on that hand. It was a walkthrough, so they don't know how he's going to react in practice. So we'll know more tomorrow on Friday whether he's going to be able to go on Sunday or not, but we'll see. Sione Vaki, who is a mainstay on this practice report all year, been playing recently, but dealing with a thumb injury, limited practice. The last three players are all full practice. Awasika is on there. Harper, who we talked about, concussion, full practice. That's good. They had a walkthrough. For them to list full practice means he's probably not having any side effects. That's what I'm assuming by that. So that's a really good sign for me. And then Christian Mahogany, full practice estimated. Dan Campbell said today that, he looked pretty good last week, and they'll just see how he goes. So there's a chance that he could play this week. And that'd be great, especially with this
Exactly.
this defensive line that we're facing.
Just what I was gonna say. It would be great to get him back. Big test right away, getting back out there though. But Arsika had his moments. Obviously, he's been hurt too. He did okay. Cologne, some plays had his moments, I guess you could say too. But overall, neither of them, did as well as Mahogany's been doing. So, predictably, the starter, would be nice to get him back.
Yeah, I would say Cologne was better in run. I don't know what the ratings are, but just from what I've seen and my eyes tell me that, run blocking was way better because he was pretty good. I noticed some plays where he got out and pulled and he was doing all right there, but he was letting up a lot of pressure on Goff. So
exactly.
I
don't have the numbers either, but I had the same observation as you, is that it's noticeable when he's pulling and we're scoring touchdowns. We're getting big chunk plays when he's making nice blocks. And it's also very noticeable when he gets beat right off the line and somebody's in Goff's face right away. So,
yep.
I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah. Wow, I agree. That's nice. Feeling good about myself, man. All right. Points per game.
I'm going to make you feel like crap later, so just enjoy it.
Cool. That's cool. That's all right. It kind of scares me when you don't, though. So, I think something's wrong and you're just trying to rush to get out of here. So, I like when you put thoughts in how to make my life miserable. That's good. I like you putting effort into it. All right. Points versus the Lions are now the number one team still, I think. And I think they were leading last week. Yeah, 30.6. The offense, the offense has certain, third quarter, obviously they struggled, but they are not the reason that, we're losing these games. It's squarely on the defense. The offense could play a little more complimentary, maybe by getting some first downs, getting some field possession to help the defense, especially in that third quarter. But outside of that, you score 34 points, you should win the game. The Steelers come in ranked 13, scoring 24 points a game. When we go to points allowed, their Steelers defense is better than ours, allowing 23.3. We're pretty close, just like a point over that. But we keep falling down these ranks now. However, we have played the Rams, which is top-ranked offense, and the Cowboys, top-ranked offenses last couple weeks. So that can account for some of that, but it doesn't account for why the Giants blew us up. It's a very bad trend what's going on. This was not too long ago, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were top 10, and now we're all the way down on 23rd. I think Jeremy put out a statistic like in the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've given up the most explosive plays in the NFL, and without him saying that stat, I don't obviously watch every game to see every explosive, but I can tell you, it certainly felt like it. It felt like we were just giving explosive after explosive.
Definitely. And just to counter with what you said, like with the offense being number one, I would argue that that number has helped because of how many drives we're getting, because we're allowing points, so quick from the defense. So you get more chances when the defense is giving up points. The offense has more chances to score. So, we were top 5 pretty much all year, I think. But as of late, I think that's why the trend is that we've been scoring more, but we've been giving up more.
We've had to try to keep up, and it's a shame when you score 34 points and the other team wins, and especially when you're up by 10 going to the second half. All right, our offensive stats, obviously we're scoring a lot of points. We're doing that because we're getting a lot of yards. We're ranked 4th in yards, 379.9 yards per game. The Steelers come in ranked 27th, so very close to the bottom, 288.1 yards. They are not rushing the ball very well, 92.5 yards per game. They do rush a lot, but they're just not very successful with it. And we are ranked fifth with 131.1 yards per game. Whereas passing, we're up at 3. Goff is, especially the last few weeks, but Goff has been really since Campbell took over. Goff's passing numbers have greatly increased. I would account getting JMO more involved. Obviously, is going to increase that because you're getting a lot more yards after catch. Same thing with St. Brown. They're getting him the ball. He's getting a lot of yards after catch, so that's helping Goff out significantly. The Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers come in ranked 23rd in passing offense, less than 200 yards per game passing.
Real quick, before you move on,
Yep.
I got a question for you. I don't know if you already know the answer for it, but just because you mentioned it, and I thought this was interesting, because obviously, for the first half of the season, we were defending Jamison Williams because of what we had seen in training camp, what we'd heard from the team, and we just know what he's capable of. Like, those numbers are going to come. He's still valuable. He's still, everything he's doing in the run blocking game. Yes, he's not showing up on the stat sheet as much, but it's still, he's still a valuable piece, and he still has that capability of having these games. Now, with that being said, I'm sure, we both saw where people were immediately like, did he stop playing as hard because of the contract? Is he not even a legitimate wide receiver number 2? So I don't know if you know right now, but if you had to guess, what rank do you think JMO is this year in receiving yards?
In yards?
In yards.
I think I might know this, but I think he's top 15.
Yeah, so he's number 10 in receiving yards.
Is he 10? Okay. He was like 13 or something going in, I think, last week. I had looked at it. What number is he at right now, Jacob?
So he's at 936 yards.
Okay.
Amon-Ra is at 1140. So Amon-Ra is number 5 right now. But then even touchdowns, if you want to talk about touchdowns, Amon-Ra's got 11, and that's number 2 to only Devontae Adams. And then JMO's got 7 touchdowns, which is 8th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're talking both of our receivers are top 10, and there's several teams that don't have a receiver in either of them. And the Cardinals only have Trey McBride. Even if you want to go with the catches, right? Because it just doesn't feel like JMO catches the ball that much. JMO is number 48 in receptions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, well, that's not exactly great, but there's 32 teams in the league. Each one has 2 receivers. I mean, so, top 64 in receptions is what you're looking for out of your wide receiver 2. And when you're top 10 in yards and touchdowns, like
I'll argue that you don't judge Jamison Williams on the number of catches he gets. You judge Jamison Williams on the yards per catch, like how many yards, like that's more for him. Like Amon-Ra, you want to, like, he should be leading the league in catches, or not leading the league, but he should be in the top in catches because he's your possession guy. He's your third down guy. He's not going to be taking the top off the defense. Whereas JMO, if he's getting a ton of catches but not getting the matching yards, then you're not using him properly, in my opinion. So I'm okay with going like that. Now you want your touchdowns to be high. You're hoping that JMO gets, you're hoping the deep shots go for that. But even I'd argue just getting a position, get him into the red zone, whatever, that's important. So the yards per catch for me, for JMO, as long as he's getting catches, like I don't want like one catch for 60 yards, like have a 6-yard average. I mean, I'm not meaning that. But, if he's hovering around 20 some yards per catch, averaging an explosive per play, then I'm pretty ecstatic with that.
Yeah, he's 3rd in the league in yards per catch right now.
Yep. Yeah, and just think that if, and we've noticed obviously a stark difference between when Johnny Moe was calling plays and Dan Campbell was calling plays, right? And if Dan Campbell was calling it all season, JMO may be on. He probably wouldn't have as many catches as Amon-Ra, but he might have more yards than Amon-Ra at this point.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
We might have a win or two under our an extra win or two early in the season under our belt. But
what could
I don't know if I don't think I told you this, but before the season, I put a prop bet on for JMO to have over 1,000 yards and Goff to have over 4,000 yards. It was like a cheap, like $5 I put on it. So it was looking very sketchy early on in the year.
Yeah.
It's looking really good right now.
Yeah,
so
right.
I haven't looked at cashing it out, but I'm just gonna let this ride at this point, and
Exactly.
and it'll be all right. All right, defensively, Jacob, how do the Steelers look compared to the Lions?
Yeah, defense is not as impressive as offense is for both of us. So, in terms of total yards per game, the Steelers are almost at the bottom of the league. They allow 363 yards per game, but we allow 337 yards per game. So we're at 21. Steelers are at 28. The numbers are better for rushing yards per game. Not great, but better. So we allow 106.7 yards, rushing yards, and the Steelers allow 120.9. Steelers are 19th. We are 13th. Passing yards per game, we allow 231. The Steelers allow 242. So we're really close there. We rank 24th. They rank 27th. So the Steelers
Yep.
are, I mean, just behind us on most of these, but the glaring one is how many yards per game and that they're so close to the bottom there. You would think with our offense, on paper, looks like our offense might have some success this week.
I know, but you could argue the same thing for them that our the way we've been giving up explosives. But we'll talk about some stats
We're
that there will be some interesting. Something's got to give somewhere in one of these stats, so we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I like. Thanks for bringing up that JMO talk. That was awesome because that was. I've been thinking about that too, so that's good.
Yeah. As of late, you're not hearing, because he's been performing better, you're not hearing as many people calling for his head and, wanting to
Hmm.
trade him and all that kind of stuff because he's,
Yeah.
when
No.
he's doing well, everybody's high. When he's not, everybody's down. That's the exact
Oh
same way
yes.
when after a win, everybody feels great. After a loss, everybody's, looking for somebody to blame.
Yep. Gotta
Yeah.
look
But
for
my whole
someone to
point of that is
blame.
that we expected this to be the case and that this was going to come at some point, and it did.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, we saw him in training camp, the routes he was running, how he was beating the cornerbacks. Just there's so much stuff. He just looks stronger, especially his lower half just looks, it's just more muscular. Looked like the comeback routes that we've talked about ad nauseum. We didn't see that early on, and now we're starting to see that. And then that I think opens up to a double move or just something over the top. And we certainly tried that last week. The over the top was almost there. It
Yeah.
didn't work out, but we'll see. And someone asked Dan Campbell about that we tried that, and he said that was more like what the Rams were giving them. But based on these passing yard rankings, it looks like we might have some opportunity at some big shots. This week too. So we'll see. All right. So we don't have an interview today. Just didn't work out. But when we do that, Jacob likes to go to the other team's Reddit and get some, just like as football fans, you know, and especially as Lions fans, we know what the hot topics are in Detroit. Um, but it's fun to go on these other teams' Reddit and think about look from afar. We think we know what their talking points are, but a lot of times we're wrong. So, Jacob, why don't you talk? Why don't you look and see what you found on Reddit and um, wow me with some ridiculous takes?
Yeah, right. There are some ridiculous ones. There's some talking points. Obviously, this is all coming from the Steelers Reddit. So, just as Lions fans are sometimes, they're blind. Some of them are completely blind and just, think that their team is the best and that this is how it's going to be. And then other people think that, their team sucks and they shouldn't be where they're supposed to be and all that. First comment that I thought was notable, though, right away from the jump, they said, if the offense plays like it did against the Dolphins, we'll win this game. What are your thoughts on that right away? They scored 28 points. The Steelers had 336 total yards.
Okay. I'm gonna basically on their defensive rankings. I'm gonna say our offense is certainly gonna put up more than 13 points, and we're playing on the track field and Ford Field. Gibbs could have a good game. This could be a
Right.
Gibbs game, and yeah, I think that's of course they want to feel like you get most of the time. But here's the thing: most of the time you get 28 points, you should win. But you're also not playing the number one offense in the league. When you're playing the Dolphins, and you got to account for that.
That game was 3-0, like late into the second quarter before they even
Hmm.
scored. And yeah, I don't see that at all. I mean, that was surprising for me that somebody was like, "Oh, you know what? Our offense did well enough. We did a good job." Or, that's what I
Yeah.
interpreted it as. A couple things. Somebody said, "Would love to see us copy whatever the Eagles did against the Lions." Another easy win would be pretty nice. I mean, you can't just copy what the Eagles defense did and get their players and do, I'm
Right,
sure you'd want
exactly.
every week for you to look like what the Eagles defense looks like.
Yep.
Somebody puts a note on here that really like to see Harmon back this week. This is obviously this is Steelers. This is what he says. I'd like to see Harmon back this week. Not sure if Gibbs is maybe playing hurt because he hasn't been as productive as he typically is. Says in a lot of ways this game feels like a harder version of our Monday night game. How well can you contain the run game, and can you find consistency on offense enough to take advantage of a gettable defense? It's the words they use.
Yeah, well, he's definitely a gettable defense. Way we've been playing lately, we shouldn't be, and I'm hoping that they got to fix that. Um, if we're gonna have any sort of success at the end of the season here.
Hang on, there were some funnier ones. Well, one, if we can slow Gibbs down, it shouldn't be as difficult as people are making it out to be. I don't
Yeah.
get that at all. So that was funny
Good
to
luck.
see. Hang on. If we blitz Queen through the middle and stunt pass rushers into Goff's lap early and often, this does two things. One, the Lions use Gibbs more often as a blocker. Anytime you can prevent them from using their best weapon is a plus. And then two, Goff panics and is unable to step into throws. We can wreak havoc in the middle. Do that, and the Steelers defense can have a successful day against this offense.
I'd say, you got Cameron Haywood in the middle. That's definitely a worry. I'm going to say that I'd say that our offensive line has played much better lately. I think that's why we've been able to have more success offensively is Goff. It's not that he hasn't got sacked. I mean, I don't know, the Packers game, I don't know how many times they got him, like 3. I think it was just 1 in the last game. I mean, the Rams defensive line's really good, and to hold them to 1 sack, that's pretty good. And then it is a good defensive line now. If TJ Watt doesn't play, then you can reassign resources somewhere else. I'd also say that I'd fight back against the Lions move Gibbs around, and yes, you want to keep him in to pass block, and that's kind of what the Vikings did and used the advantage. I think we probably learned from that situation and we moved things around. I think you started doing more 2-back sets. Um, without Laporta in there, it really stinks because he's such a good blocker to hold, to have him in there. That was an additional blocker you could have in there. But there's other ways around it. I think run 2-back sets and you put Demo, who's a very good pass blocker, and you could still use Gibbs. And then even beyond that, even if you hold Gibbs in, you still got Amon-Ra, you still got JMO on the outside. We still got weapons. I don't think stopping Gibbs is a good first step for any team, but it's easier said than done.
One of the comments on this says they've been surprisingly successful at stopping top-tier rushing attacks, but we give up stupid yards to mediocre rushing attacks. He said, the problem is, even if we can force Goff to make plays, I think he can, and then we'd still lose. Jared Goff is not Daniel Jones. So Goff getting a little bit of recognition there.
That's good.
The person who made the thread commented later on, he said, I appreciate the breakdowns. I had written this one off as a blowout loss, but maybe it'll be more competitive than I thought. So the guy that asked the question originally was expecting a blowout. I got one more. I saved this one for last because this one is like really detailed and really insightful, but I don't know if he pulled these stats from like a beat writer for Pittsburgh or where he got them from, but I'll go through it. This guy, which I don't know what this means. So it says his name is Salt Your Enclave.
Okay.
I was like, is this something dirty? I don't get what this means.
If it's from Reddit, it probably is.
You're right. I was like, Anyway, so this is what he says. Last week, the Rams had a whopping 4.65 EPA per play when going 13 personnel against the Lions. Campbell's defensive back reliant cover 3 got burned over and over. The Rams run the most 13 personnel in the league. Hang on one second. Where does it say here? Most importantly, however, is receiver quality. The 1 in Rams 13 personnel is almost always Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, and they're elite route runners. When cutting through the flows of defensive backs running towards the weak side, a wide receiver needs to be able to predict and swim towards the spaces and bubbles that open up, sinking into the soft spots where you can catch the ball in the space, which is 100% correct on how they got us on some big plays is that, they were isolated. We were in man. We just weren't able to stop Puka or Devontae Adams, several times. But, this person does obviously say that they don't, he says DK is built like a truck and starts up like one. He can't pop a jab step or drop a shoulder to ghost a pressing corner. Says press is effective at preventing him from getting to the spot in time. Maybe the reason why he's so temperamental on the field. Yeah, so I mean, just insightful about why the Rams were able to do what they did while also recognizing, I guess the Steelers run 13 personnel as well, but their 13 personnel relies on DK Metcalf, and DK is not able to get open like Puka or Devontae can.
Yeah. Well, they do run a lot of heavy sets. The Steelers do. Campbell even said today that it kind of gets them ready. However, they're not nearly as talented at every position. The wide receiver, quarterback, running back, that's all lower than the
Anywhere.
Rams. And so it's very good analysis by that person. It was why the Rams are so successful, but the Rams are elite at every one of those positions. I would say, and their offensive line is good too. So you can't compare. Be like, oh, we run the same system as, and I'm not saying this guy did, but you can't say, well,
Right.
we run the same system, therefore we're going to tear the Lions up. We had hypothesized last week that maybe we would have a better chance defending that because we run our full linebacker sets all the time, and maybe they were playing into us a little bit, but the way Stafford was able to find Nakua open, and even when he wasn't open in tight windows, he was able to complete passes. I think Aaron Rodgers, number one, his arm is not, Stafford, especially at this point in his career. And I don't think their offensive line is as good as the Rams, and they don't have the threats at wide receiver that, I mean, DK is good and he's big and strong. I mean, he's strong, but he's not Puka Nakua. He's just not able to, you know, manipulate his body in a way to get open, and his hands aren't nearly as good as Nakua's either.
Right. And that's kind of what the person was acknowledging, is that this is the setup for this is, what worked for the Rams and why it could work for us. But the big key there is that we don't have, he pointed to the receiver, but you're right. I mean, you could pick the perfect play against the perfect defense. Like we've got them right where we want them. But if you don't have the players to execute, then it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
That's all I've got, courtesy of the Steelers.
Was there
Reddit,
anything
though.
on Tomlin? Was there anything
Nothing.
on Tomlin?
Tomlin's name did not come up at all.
Wow. I just figured that people
Not
would be
not when they were talking about the Lions anyway.
Okay. All right.
But from what I got from the other, just scrolling through the posts, it didn't seem like I did not come across a hateful post towards Tomlin.
I figured this is like a hardball situation, like in Baltimore, where their people are just fed up with being mediocre or not, getting it done.
True.
And you want something else. Like, I mean, there's people that are already, turning on Dan Campbell in our area, and it's only been 2 seasons since the NFC Championship game. It's just fans are very fickle like that. Anything else from Steelers Reddit before we move on?
Nope, nothing else.
All right. Let's move on to our keys to victory. Jacob, I got 3 of them. Nothing's like brain bustery, but I found some interesting stats to go along with mine. So I'll let you start first. What's your first key to victory?
Yeah, so I just have something quick to say. I don't have keys to victory. So
okay.
And the reason is I sit here and it's like, you know what? I feel like I've said week in and week out, all I can say is that, we need to rely on our running game, and this is where we need to do that. I mean, obviously we play to our strengths. That's how we win. When we don't execute and we get off of their game, then we don't. I don't think there's a hidden key to victory this week. That's not something that we have to do every week, but I just, the way that we win now is irrelevant. Whereas, in the past it was like, the wins even didn't feel that great. It was like, man, we should be doing better. It's leading to this right now. We just need to find a way to get it done. This is not a 50-50 game. This is not like the Rams is. We should beat this team, more often than not. Maybe like 8 or 9 times out of 10, we should beat this. But we've had a handful of games this season where we come out flat, we don't execute. And then, some of those turn into losses. But even like with the Giants, you win the game, you don't feel good about it afterward. But in my opinion, I think that's all out of the window now. Like, I don't care if it's 13-10. I don't care if it's 49-51. Like, we just have to be on the winning side. So find a way to win the game. By all means necessary, just take care of business. The wiggle room that we might have had before is gone. So you just have to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
If they're in a Hail Mary situation, just grab Aaron Rodgers' face mask and yank him down by it, because they're going to call it anyway.
Exactly. New York won't get involved to help us out. We know that.
No, New York's not coming to save us.
So your keys to victory is Al Davis. Just win, baby. That's what your key to victory is.
Basically.
All right. I like it. Yep. No, you're right on all accounts. Like at this point, we, throughout the whole season, we were like, we need to, find our identity and like all this stuff. And we still haven't found that. And that's why we haven't had a consistency winning, is that we just haven't played Lions football. What I consider Dan Campbell Lions football. We have not played that way for whatever reason. And not to say that we can't do it. The seasons come down to a few plays each game, and that's why I'm not like going crazy about next season. Now there's a lot of offseason maneuvers that will happen. Why a lot of things could change, but we just need some of those plays to go right for us. And player, Amon-Ra not to have a key drop here and there, which has never happened, and it just so happened to happen in some key points this year. But
Right.
anyways, my key to victory, none of these are gonna blow your mind. So number one, just keep the offense going. Just do what we've been doing, and they can't. The offense doesn't need any more pressure on it than it's already got, and it shouldn't feel like it needs to do anything else. Because last thing I want to do is golf putting it in getting a turnover, because then you got a quick change and you put the defense in a bad spot. Just keep doing what you're doing and let the defense figure that out. Don't let what's going on the defensive side of the ball necessarily dictate what you have to do. Now, do you have to have urgency? Do you feel like, you should always feel like I need to score a touchdown on every drive. The Lions, I'm sure, do that. And I know Goff will do that. But I just don't want it to be put any more pressure that's already on it, and then mistakes start being made. And then we're, giving their offense extra chances.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been over a month now, because the Eagles game was the last game where it was like we were actually getting stops consistently, but the offense wasn't
Mhm.
moving the ball.
Yep.
Just have to keep the offense out there. You have to limit their chances.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I know it's always like, if Demo's getting chances and we're not winning, then we're like, give Gibbs more chances. And if Gibbs is getting more chances and we're not winning, we're like, I I get where that's come from. But last week I wanted 6-minute drives, right? I wanted a 6-minute drive. That could help the defense out immensely if we can run the ball. And I think that's what Dan Campbell was trying to do in the third quarter, is trying to help the defense out by getting, by running, but it just wasn't working against him. I think it can work against this team. And I think I'd like to give Demo some more chances, especially early in the game, and then go back to him late when their defensive line is wore out a little bit. And hopefully we could get that. Especially with Dan Campbell calling plays, I'm not as worried about 3rd and long as I was with Johnny Morton. Like 3rd and long, like 3 and 8. Remember, we went through like a long time in the season without converting like something 3-8 plus, 3rd and 8 plus.
Right.
And now it seems like we're able to do that. And a lot, even that one drive where we started 1st and 25, we had a first down. We had 1st and 2nd down, and we didn't even have to get to 3rd down after we started that. We're a lot more explosive with Dan Campbell there. Just the routes he's coming, the concepts he's calling. So, I just want the offense to keep going. We need to stop their run. So our run defense has been really bad. We need to just be able to stop them and keep them out of 3rd and short. Aaron Rodgers typically doesn't go deep. He's doing a lot of underneath stuff to his tight ends. DK is obviously a huge target. I want to be able to get off the field on 3rd down, and I think we have the best chance if we get the 3rd and long on them and don't allow their tight ends to tear us up, because they will run. They have. I don't know if Freiermuth is what he's like one of those guys that flies under the radar, and he'll have a really good game if you're not paying attention. So we need to do that. And then was it Darnell Washington was their big one? Yeah, we just
Washington
watch
is
those.
hard to tackle.
Yes, need to watch that. So a last thing is, don't let DK Metcalf, or really any of the receivers, but DK Metcalf especially, to get yards after catch. When he catches the ball, we need to be on top of him and tackle him. Don't let a short yardage play turn into a explosive play. He is like, I think what is it? I think he's one of the top. I thought I wrote it down here. He's one of the top receivers with yards after catch. Now that big 80-yard play early in the season probably goes into some of that average, but he, uh, they don't target him downfield because Aaron Rodgers doesn't go downfield very much. He has completed just 38.5% of the passes downfield this year, the second lowest rate in the NFL, and his lowest rate since 2016. That's per the NFL Pro. And
I still think they try it once or twice.
Oh,
they're
gonna try
going
it.
to.
Yep. But here's the thing: when he's thrown downfield, he throws interceptions. 6 of his interceptions have been on downfield attempts. So if he does try, we got to make him pay. We have to make them pay.
If only we had Kirby.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We'll see. We could possibly get him back. I don't think it's going to happen, but we could. So I have 3 things, Jacob, that I need to see from this team this week. So I usually do this is something that we don't normally do, but this is what I need to see. I need to see us reduce the explosives. Ultimately, I agree with you. We need to get the win. That's all. The only thing I really need to see is
Right.
us having a higher score than the Steelers at the end of the day. But I want to see some improvements by reducing the explosives. Can we please get a 4th down stop? That's really would make me feel very happy. And then I just want to see some fire and urgency in this team. I want to see them fired up. I just really want to see us with the grit on the sideline. I'm not saying that we haven't seen that, but I just really want it to be apparent that this really means to them and they know how important it is for our playoffs to have that fire and urgency.
Right. Time is now. Last home game too, so
Yes. Most likely. I mean, we're probably not going to get one in the playoffs. It doesn't look like that way, at least, unless some
right.
weird stuff happens in the playoffs. So, yeah, likely the last home game this season. All right, Jacob, roar alert. So, who is the Lions player that, or, position group that's going to make some noise this weekend? I'll
I
let
feel
you
like
go first.
I took the easy way out on this one, I feel like, but Ja was just too quiet last week, and I don't think
Okay.
he's gonna let that happen again. I think
All
Gibbs is gonna
right.
have an explosive day, probably another mix of catches and carries, but really important that they find a way for him to break out. I also just want to say, not that I'm not putting Demo on my roar alert, but I do think that maybe this week we do start to see, this year and last year it's been drives, right? For the most part, they've been getting entire drives. And then I've
Mhm.
noticed, like as of late, when we want to run the ball like 3 times in a row, it takes a lot out of you, especially when Gibbs, he might get a 3 yard gain, but he's running 15 yards because he's juking back and forth or doing this or that. I think this may be the week where we split them in. Like a first down happens, maybe then we have Demo come out, or maybe that's how Demo gets more carries, or they get another breather is by mixing in the middle of a drive as well. But ultimately, I
They
think
did
that's going to
that.
culminate in both of them being better.
I noticed that they did that earlier in the season, but
Yes.
since Dan Campbell's taken over, I don't think I've seen them like come in unless like Jameer's gotten like a bunch of carries or something, and then they just switch him out just because he was absolutely dog tired. But I think I would like to see them switch them out a little more often. It makes because they played Demo differently. These teams put heavier in the box for Dave Montgomery than they do Gibbs, just because they got to honor Gibbs, receiving and also, his outside running a little bit more than they do Dave Montgomery. But I would like them to just move that, move him in and out in between drives and just try to, keep them so we're not predictable, I guess.
Right.
Um,
How great would that be for them
so
to come out empty backfield, like Goff just in shotgun, but then you have Demo and Gibbs, like one on one side as a receiver, one on the other. And then one of
mhm,
them, one of them motions back into running back and has a running play. Or they both
yeah.
motion back in, one of them's a blocker, or they could just be a diversion. Like all this stuff we talked about in the offseason, like all these different possibilities, they've only been on the same play a handful of times. And I don't really know that any explosiveness or crazy things have happened when they've both been out there that I can remember.
Yeah, what kind of play I would like to see with them is run like a fake jet sweep to Jameer, and then you have Demo in the back, and then whether you pitch it out to the outside of the opposite way Jameer is going, or even if you go up front, because I mean, all eyes are on Jameer, and you think you're gonna, you know, they got to protect because if he gets running, he's already running, and then he gets the ball, he's going to be so hard to catch on the
Right, right.
outside that they're going to shift their defense over, and then it might be just enough to open up a lane for Dave Montgomery. I'd like to see him do
That
stuff
would
like
be
that.
nice.
Yep. All right, for my roar alert, I'm going with the linebacker, Jack Campbell. Gonna do
Okay.
something. Gonna get turnover. We're gonna get sack. We're gonna get something. This is a Jack Campbell game. I guess the Steelers. He's gonna be reminded of Iowa, right? So like they
Ah,
got the same colors, and so he's gonna just go back to his college days and be like, I'm ready to dominate. So I think this is a Jack Campbell game. I hope so at least.
me too. He played for
All
Iowa
right.
though. Is that programming
Huh?
in his brain? Is it programming in his brain not to hit black and yellow?
Nope, nope. He's gonna be just fired up because he's gonna be like, I'm back in my college
He's like a
days, and
bull.
this
He sees
is,
the colors. He's like, it's go time.
yeah, it's go time. So he's go back to practice. He used to hit those guys in practice, so
Right.
he's used to it. All right, so great guarantee time. I am going. The Lions are going to score more than their average, so 31 points or more. I'm saying the Lions score more than that. We're at Ford Field. I'm going to be there screaming. I'm going to have lots of scream about, and hopefully for your sake, Jameer is a player I'm screaming for as he runs down the sideline on a very long run.
Right? I hope so. How great would it be just to have another offensive explosion and, the defense finally shows up and we get a comfortable win at home to finish it out.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
I went bold this time and I have 2 great guarantees.
Okay.
Because the first one is not really my first guarantee is that Aaron Rodgers is going to get into some sort of verbal altercation with his own team. Could be his teammates, his coach, could be a small shouting match, an explosion. At some point in the game, though, he's going to remind us how unlikable he is by berating his team or coaches for something. And that's what it reminded me of when you said something about, yelling at his receiver. He chucks it downfield, they don't catch it, and then he's immediately yelling at DK or whoever else. I just feel like it's going to happen.
Because I might not see it in the stadium. It's hard to see, but the cameras will catch it.
Yeah, I will let you know.
So text me if that happens so I know.
Especially after, I don't know if, I'm sure you saw it, like we were talking about the outcast on his team, or cast-offs, I think is what he said. So the cast-offs, then he mentions, Adam Thielen. Who else did he mention? Mentioned Thielen, I think Gainwell, somebody else that he mentioned. He mentioned like 3 or 4 people. Connor, is that right? Is it Connor Hayward?
Cameron Hayward. Is
that no. Connor. It's Connor. It's the younger Hayward. Is the one who scored a touchdown. But he was just talking about like how they're cast-offs. And right as he's talking about the reporter was like, "Well, do you consider yourself a cast-off?" The look on his face, he was like, "I'm not a cast-off."
I know. Yes. Yeah. He immediately gets offended. It's okay to call his teammates cast off. That's not offensive.
Yeah.
But me, no. I mean, I just wasn't just cut from the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I didn't get cut.
Cast off's bad. Out. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Hilarious. So yeah. Maybe it started to be something to try to like fire them up, but as soon as he got called a cast off, it was like, what? No, not me. I was like, okay. There you go. Second guarantee that I have, I'm going to say that the defense holds them to less than 300 yards. So we've only done that in 6 games this year. But our back's against the wall, and I think that Shep knows that we need to have a huge game. We've got to get some things together. We've got to have a good one here. They're going to be going all out. I also think that maybe, we go for it on 4th down a few more times and try to keep try to keep the ball out of their hands, try to keep control, time of possession. Okay. I just think they get less than 300 in this game.
Let's move on since we didn't have an interview. We're just going to do our grit picks in this podcast today. We're not going to do an NFL episode 1, so we're just going to jump over to there. Lots of red on there, Jacob. We were not very good, especially me, but I was hoping to catch you. I'm trying to play catch up here, and my catch ups are putting me further behind you. So.
Yeah, this is the part where I make you feel terrible. So I'm looking at, it wasn't the grit picks, obviously, because we don't do that on the show, but tough loss to the Rams. I decided, I'm just going to check the standings on our Yahoo Pick'em that we do with our sons, just to see who's in the lead. I was like, Jason didn't have a bad week. And I'm scrolling through his picks. Jason picked the Rams to beat us. I texted him immediately. I said, what are you doing? I said, this is your fault. You did this.
No. Yeah, I knew you would think that. I was surprised you didn't see it earlier, but no, I put it,
How could you do that to me?
It has nothing. If you truly believe that, I've been picking them all year and it didn't happen, but I just, whatever. I would have been glad to be wrong, but I am 1 game ahead of you in that pick'em league, and that because of that pick. What is weird though is my 14-year-old son is kicking our butt. He's up by like 4 or 5 games on us. Yeah,
I don't think we're gonna catch him.
No, he's doing real good. So, pretty soon he'll be taking over this podcast because he is doing much better at this stuff than we are.
Quite a few upsets. Right. There's a lot of upsets that happen where it's like, man, I did not see that coming. And it's like, oh wait, Preston did. Preston picked it right.
Yeah. Preston does it. He'll do it like. What's crazy is he does it Tuesday morning. Like that's one of the first things after Monday Night Football, that thing opens up and he's picking them on Tuesday. And then it'll be like literally he's getting ready for school at 6:45 in the morning on Tuesday. And like 6:50, he's like, Dad, did you make your picks yet? I'm like, no, I haven't made my picks. I'm just waking up. And so usually I'll make them Wednesday because he's bugged me by then. And And then right after I make the picks, then we go through them, and it it's crazy how often he's right. So
Right.
he's good. Yeah,
I always
I
pick
taught him
on
well.
Thursday, like right before the Thursday night game. If I don't have time,
Yeah.
I'll at least pick the Thursday night game. But it's like,
Hmm.
I mean, what week is this? Week 15 or whatever? I swear, maybe
Yeah.
like 10 weeks, Milo does not make his Thursday pick because he just doesn't think
Yeah.
about it until Friday.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you could
I
have had 10 more points.
exactly. Yep. Except for Thursday nights have been notoriously hard to pick. So, but yeah.
True.
Uh, let's see. So speaking of Thursday football, Bucks. We picked the Bucks. The Falcons win. It doesn't matter. I am like the opposite. If I pick the Falcons to win, they lose. If I pick
Yeah.
them to win, it's like I'm the
You have a
opposite.
weird relationship with the Falcons.
I do. I do. I don't like it. The Cowboys now have a 1% chance of making the playoffs. Like they were the hottest team, and they came into Detroit, got beat, and then the Vikings beat them in Dallas, nonetheless, with the worst quarterback ever, Jacob, JJ McCarthy
Yeah.
beat 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 them. And then on Monday Night Football, which is Tua's last start as the Dolphins, because
Yeah.
I'm sure you
That's
saw today
insane.
that what I don't know what your son thinks about that. Is he happy or is he not happy?
Oh, no, he's shocked. He's not happy about
Yeah,
it. But I mean,
yeah,
what his opinion, which I think he's pretty much spot on, is that Mike McDaniel's trying to save his job. And if he puts Quinn Ewers out there and they actually win these next few games and Quinn looks decent, he can kind of point back and be like, well, you know what? Kind of had the pressure with Tua and everything to start him when he shouldn't have been playing. Now,
hmm
if he starts Quinn Ewers and he does terrible, uh, I think McDaniel's is gone.
Well,
It's a
I think
last
so
ditch
too,
effort.
but also tell JJ that uh, no matter what, Tua is guaranteed like I think almost 50 some million next year. So if they cut him, they're on the hook for so much money, and they could get it. Like they're gonna have so much dead money if they move on from Tua. So they're in a bad spot no matter what they do.
The irony of this is if they do cut him or move on, and he goes to one of the teams, like JJ hates the Chiefs.
Oh
That would be very conflicting for him if, like, for some reason, like if Mahomes, that ACL stuff's going on, the Dolphins
yeah,
aren't going to have to pay, or the Chiefs aren't going to have to pay him anyway. So they just decided to take a flyer on Tua. Be very interested to see how my son
I
feels
know.
about that.
Yeah, Tua takes a 1 year flyer with the Chiefs, gets to start like the first 4 to 5 games or whatever. I know
Right.
that they're hoping that Mahomes come back in week 1, but realistically, it's going to be middle of the season, so Tua could start out the season, as a starter, and yeah, try to make his mark, try to make money the next year, right?
Right.
Uh, all right, so I picked the Dolphins. Jacob picked the Steelers, so that was the only win out of 6 picks. That
Man.
was the only one that went. Jacob, you are 32-20. I am almost at 500, 27-25. So yeah, 5 games behind. Not looking good.
Ouch. You need to catch
But
up quick. Does that
I
mean you're going to
do.
make
But
some crazy outlandish picks this week to try to?
we'll see. I don't know. I'm so bad at picking, Jacob. I don't even know what's crazy and what's outlandish anymore. So
Right.
I don't know where my mind's at. But
Just
I
pick what
will
you want
go.
to pick and then change your mind right before you say it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I let you pick, and then I change it afterwards. Uh, I'll go first. So this is a pretty good Thursday night football game.
Great
Too
Thursday
good
night
to be on
football game.
Thursday night. It should
Right.
not be Thursday night. But the Rams, coming off our game with them, they play Seattle for this is for the number 1 seed in the NFC, correct?
They're
And
both
the
11
NFC
and 3.
West. So
Yep.
huge game for Thursday night football. The Seahawks are actually favored in this game, uh, but it is in Seattle and it's a game and a half. So really, if the home team's getting around 2.5 nowadays, it's pretty much a pick 'em. Maybe the Rams favored a little bit if you take out home field advantage. However, Thursday night football, weird things happen. I think the Rams are the better team and certainly have been playing better lately, but I think the opposite happens here. I think it's Seattle. The Rams can't even get on their airplane. They're having trouble getting there. Um, so I'm gonna go with the last time that I saw a team had that Packers. They flew out to Arizona and then they really struggled with the Cardinals. So I'm going with Seahawks in this one. Where are you at?
Dang, I picked the same thing. I've got all those bullet points on here. The Rams just
Yeah.
had a really tough game against us. Devontae Adams aggravated that injury. Doesn't look like he's going to play. Obviously, they still have Puka, but I mean, they rely on Devontae for a lot. And then, the team plane is delayed, so they're going to get to Seattle much later than they wanted to.
Yep.
This looks a lot like Lions and Vikings last year. They're both 11-3, and then somebody's going to get the 1 seed or be in position to get the 1 seed after this. So the Rams won a
Yeah.
very close game in LA earlier this year. I think the Seahawks are going to win a really close game tonight or in this game.
Yeah. What's I gonna say? I can't remember what I was gonna say, but yeah, there was a lot of turnovers. Seattle had like 4 turnovers in that game too, right?
And it was still like I think 21-19 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Patriots at Ravens. Ravens favored by 3. Who you taking in this game, Jacob?
So the Patriots are fighting for the 1 seed, and the Ravens are just fighting to stay alive for the playoffs. So it's going to be a good game, I think. The Ravens just don't look like they figured it out, though. I stand by what I said before. Like Lamar just seems like he's been battling injuries before the season even started. I may have cursed him by drafting him in fantasy. That did not turn out for me or him. Meanwhile, Drake May is playing at an MVP type level. It also they were up by a lot on the Bills, and the Patriots let the Bills come back, to win that game last week. So now they're kind of, I guess, angry or hungry with more to prove even now. So I think the Patriots are going to beat the Ravens.
I like everything you're saying, but I'm going with the Ravens in this one. Just at home, the Ravens always seem to when you think they're out, they make it, and the division is still in their grasp, especially with Steelers playing us. It could flip, and with they got a lot to play for. Patriots are good, and like you said, they were up by 20. I mean, they got to be sick to their stomach having that
Right.
huge lead against the Bills, and then to cough it up like that. Uh, I'm sure Vrabel was not happy in the clubhouse after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going with the Ravens on that, so I am opposite of you.
I would think the Patriots beat them by like double digits.
You think so? And I would be surprised if that happened. I'm gonna go with the Ravens on
If
this.
there was a time
Derrick
for them to
Henry,
wake
I
up
don't
and
even
get
know what
hot, it
Derrick
would be
Henry.
now.
I don't know what Derrick Henry's stats are, but he started out the season with a lot of fumbles at the beginning, right? And then I haven't heard much from him, so it'd be interesting what happens with him next year if they're gonna continue going with him, or he's starting to get older and maybe he's not as explosive as he used to be.
1,100 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. But I did draft him in the round right after, right before Lamar, so that is also my fault.
You're yes, your fantasy teams.
Curse the Ravens.
I think at both leagues we play each other this week. So
and the consolation round of both of them too, right?
Which is hilarious because you pick Gibbs to be the roller, and I have Gibbs. So I hope that you're right, because then you get smoked.
When it's consolation, I don't care anymore.
Exactly.
But I was
neither of those leagues are for money either, so it doesn't even matter.
Right.
All right. Monday Night Football, 49ers favored by 6.5, going to the Colts. Phillip Rivers. I'm going with the Colts in this one. They're going to try to run the ball. We'll see how it goes. It's what an amazing story. Colts, Phillip Rivers gets, comes out of retirement, gets a win, and it helps the Lions too if the 49ers lose. So I'm going with the Colts.
Yeah, I love the Phillip Rivers story. Everything about that. It would be awesome if they can sneak into the playoffs. I just don't think that they're going to be able to hang with the 49ers.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you.
It would not be the worst thing if they beat the 49ers and then the 49ers had to go in because they play the Bears next week. So if they're coming off a loss to the Colts against the Bears, then they're extra hungry. Like, we got to really take it to Chicago. And that's the game we really need the 49ers to show up for. So, but in my opinion, I think the 49ers are going to win. And hopefully they're just going to stay hot and beat the Bears next week.
It's Indianapolis. I mean, you got to get Jonathan Taylor the ball, and the 49ers know that. But we'll see. I think just from a storyline perspective, Monday Night Football, Phillip Rivers, let's go. I mean, let's give that guy his win. That'd be, he reset his retire. Now, he was eligible for the Hall of Fame this year.
Right.
And so he came back and now it resets it for another 5 years. So now he's got to wait till he's going to be almost, 50 by the time that he's able to, come, get into the Hall of Fame. So crazy.
Somebody else I saw made a joke about how many kids he has. And it was a good move. He's going to come and make a couple starts. Now he gets to be back on the NFL health insurance policy for another 5 years too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw something that says only the second known grandpa to play in the NFL, and
Oh,
I got to say, there's probably been more than one grandpa in the NFL. We just didn't know it. I'm
right.
gonna bet, but yeah. So, but most of these guys retire before they're 40. So I get it, but it was yeah, crazy thing. There, there's so much like crazy stories like before the season. If you'd have told me like Philip Rivers coming back, um, you know, the Chiefs already out of the playoffs by week 15,
Yeah.
that probably blow my mind. I mean, I would be so surprised if they didn't make the playoffs by the end of the season, but this early in the season to be out already has blown my mind. Stafford having an MVP type season, especially not playing like all of preseason because he had injuries, and now he's just come in and has
Exactly.
best season of his career. Would not have expected that.
They were talking about cutting him. They were like, should we just move on or trade him or whatever we do?
Yeah. Yeah, they were talking about trading him, right? I mean, that was the talk early in the offseason. So yeah, just some crazy stuff. The Bears doing what they're doing. I did not expect them to be way up where they're at, especially with how their season started. Lots of weird stuff.
It
The
has been
Lions to
a
be where
weird
they're at.
season.
I could get traded and then tearing his ACL by the end of the season. I mean, talk about oh man, a gut punch for the Packers. You get Micah, and then you lose them, especially at the end of the season, which is really going to impact pretty much, especially for what you need him to be explosive. He's just not going to be the same player all of next year, regardless if he comes back or not. Like early in the season or whatever. I know that his defensive coordinator said he's probably going to break the sack record next year. First of all, Myles Garrett is going to put it so high that it's going to be so hard to
Right.
beat.
He'll
Number
break it
two,
this week and add on to it.
yeah, he's just going to keep adding on to it. I want Myles Garrett to break it before the 17th. Like, so they're like, that's not even like part of the discussion. Where like you took that it was in a 16 game season, it was set, and now you've waited till the 17th.
Right,
I
right.
want him to break it before the 17th game.
Yes.
That way, there's no like asterisk.
He's only
or
one
anything
sack
on it.
away, right?
Yes,
And he's got the
Yeah, I think-
Bills and then the Steelers are 17. How
Yeah.
great would that be on Aaron Rodgers?
Oh yeah, be a pretty easy target. Broken wrist and all.
Right?
But yeah, crazy storylines all around. But yeah, anything else you got or ready to
No,
move
man,
on here?
I'm ready. I just want to see this win.
Yeah, I'm excited to go. I don't think it's going to be terribly cold this weekend. I'm always afraid, like this late in the season, that like that Rams playoff game was -20 wind chill or whatever. It's a 4 o'clock game.
Had to park
But when
closer.
we get out, it's going to be pretty late. It'll be late. A 4 o'clock home game is weird.
Right.
All
Does
right?
not happen very often.
No, it does not. All right. I want to say thank you for everybody listening. Thanks for everybody that's followed. Hopefully this season keeps going. We got a long playoff run, and these are not the last 3 games before we move on to off-season talk. Because there's plenty to talk about this off-season, but I just don't want to start talking about it in 3 weeks.
Not yet. No, too soon.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's right. So, all right, for that guy over there, Jacob, I'm Jason. Thanks for listening. Go Lions.